Welcome back to the Chasing Winners podcast, college football edition, week 6. It's crazy that we're already at week 6. I feel like the season just started, but Miami hasn't played a conference game yet. So have we really even started? Kyle Massaloni here with JP Lyon as always. JP, before I get anywhere, before I even get to a recap of last week betting wise, wow, Baylor with the comeback of a millennium after you decided to bet against your team as your best bet last week.
Yeah, that's on me. I can't. I did it in the show. I can't go with my first pick for best bet. I have to redo it mid-show. So it's a learning experience for all of us. And we also learned that UCF isn't very mentally strong. I didn't think Baylor was either, but first time all season that we beat a team that we were worthy of beating. So good week.
In the bounce house, so intimidating, right? It was half empty by the second quarter.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have left the game in hindsight. I don't think we would have won if they'd stayed.
Definitely. All right, so let's get into a recap of last week here. JP, how do we do? I think I had a Jeff Fisher-esque day.
You did. This was my first week since week 1 that I actually made back some ground. Kyle went 7-8, 4-2 on the podcast picks and lost his best bet. I went 9-6, also went 4-2 on pod picks, lost my best bet. And sadly, the podcast teaser starts off 0-1 down a unit because Syracuse couldn't keep it within 12.5. Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah, that happened. Syracuse essentially gave Clemson the game in the first quarter, right? I mean, two early turnovers, nonsense turnovers. The difference between Miami and Syracuse. Look, Miami came back from two terrible special teams mistakes to beat Texas A&M, who we're going to talk about later. Syracuse couldn't do the same with the turnovers against Clemson.
Yes. So I'm now only 6.5 games back in regular picks and still 6 games back in pod picks. So we're moving forward.
Yeah, onward. Let's hope I could get a win this week. Need it back. Need your one game back.
Two games. How dare you?
You got 2 games on me this week?
7-8, 9-6.
I really should have listened to just said
Kyle can't see the records like you guys can, so.
All right, diving in here, we start with what is probably the biggest game of the week, but really egging you on to tune in for the rest, telling you that. But we got noon kickoff, ABC at the Cotton Bowl, as it is every year, at the Texas State Fair. I need to go and try that funnel cake stuff and everything they have over there. Number 12 Oklahoma against number 3 Texas. First time, I think the stat is like first time both are undefeated in this game in quite a long time. Texas are 6.5 point favorites. JP, these are probably your 2 least favorite teams in America, so I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't like Ohio State. I hate Ohio State. I don't like Notre Dame much. Sam Hartman's growing on me, though. Not a big fan of Duke, but that's more basketball. These teams are definitely up there, though. I've experienced Texas up close and personal once. That was not very fun. And Oklahoma's kind of they haven't been losing, but they've kind of been playing to the spreads in a couple of games. What was it? SMU, definitely with Cincy, because we both pushed that last week. I think they covered against SMU, but it wasn't by a lot.
Let me actually check that right now. I'm here. They covered by 1 point against SMU.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got it at 17, so I pushed. But it's teams that are kind of doing two different things. It's Oklahoma's getting by and Texas is blowing teams out of the water. Right now, at least they weren't.
Oklahoma's kind of blowing teams out of the water too. They have a 66 to 17 win over Tulsa and a 50 to 20 win over Iowa State. But
I forgot about Iowa State last week. That was disappointing.
yeah.
Yeah, neither team fell victim to their trap game. Both teams kind of blew out their opponents. I like Texas here. I'm gonna be the square, but I have to take Texas minus 6.5 until they give me a reason not to. And they blew out Baylor, they blew out Kansas. They're gonna come into this one, and I expect them to do something similar. Probably not a 49-0 game. I think that would surprise me, but I'm taking Texas minus 6.5.
Well, no, Oklahoma actually has a quarterback this year, so it may not be a they may put some points up on the board at least. May still let up 48, but I don't think we're seeing 48 to nothing today. I'm kind of along the same lines as you are. I hate to say it, we're both squares to start the day here. I'm on Texas minus 6.5 for pretty much the same reason. They've played a much higher, they played Alabama and Kansas. I guess you could count Kansas as a high level of competition these days, especially in the Big 12. Sorry, your conference sucks. But but yeah. Oklahoma hasn't really been tested too much yet, and they're coming into this game as their first major test of the season. It's against arguably one of the top teams in the country. So I can't look away from Texas here. I'm going to go Texas minus 6.5.
So I've told you that it's a square play. We've got 6 games. We've got 6 games. I told Kyle that the lowest differential on the public side is 64 to 36. And his first question was, is it this game? This game is the highest differential because 81% of the public is on Texas.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So this is not the lowest spread or lowest public differential of the week.
Oh, God.
It's bad.
That's really bad. We're really squares here, but hey, if you look at the was it the NFL? Yeah, it was the NFL where they're like exactly 500 between public picks and the other side.
Makes sense, yeah. There's been a ton of public picks in the NFL this week or this year, I feel like.
Vegas. What's up?
Yeah. I feel like because I do a similar kind of pick 'em with my buddies, and every time I look at the public sides, it's like there's 10, 65% or more on one side. I was like, how are there 10 out of 16 games?
Yeah, that's difficult to do, but the NFL will set you up like that. So yeah, we're both on Texas minus 6.5 in the Red River game. We're gonna have to get there eventually, or at least I will. I'm not sure if you've been there or not. The Texas State Fair. You live there?
Nope. Have not been. Will not be going this year. Got a big flag football game Saturday morning.
Gigantic.
First of the season.
What's the line?
On our flag football game, it's tough because we haven't started yet. It's the first game of the season. I only know half of my team. So I think I'll be conservative and put the line at Team Butt Bowl minus 6.5 against whoever we're playing.
All right, good. We don't know the opposition here. That's the way it should be. I'll take 6.5 blindly.
Hell yeah.
Moving on here to the next game, noon game on ESPN. Ranked versus ranked matchup, number 21 LSU. Number 23 LSU somehow, some way still ranked after 2 losses. You have 2 losses in week 5. You were 3-2. Why? But they're going on the road against number 21 Missouri, and they are 5.5-point favorites. I'm not going to say what is this line because it's not shocking, but I'm going to say, like, can you tell me a reason LSU is in the AP top 25? Besides the AP poll being a joke, which we all know it is, but
What is Ole Miss up to 13 or 16? What are they?
let's see here. I'll pull up the top. They're 16. They jumped Miami, of course.
Yeah, I think that's your answer, is because Ole Miss moves up 4 spots and LSU moves down 10 spots. It's a game that obviously it was super back and forth. It's 2 teams that aren't elite, obviously they don't look like they have very good defenses, pretty good offenses for the most part. But I don't know. I don't know that I would have dropped LSU all the way out. Is Louisville 25? Is that right?
Louisville is 25, but there's a team that we're talking about later that I think deserves to be ranked here.
It's one of 2 teams, and I don't like the sound of either one of those being ranked. But yeah, I think.
Well, I think actually both deserve to be ranked over LSU, but there's one specifically that, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I still think LSU is probably a top 25 team, and I think they're probably going to cover today. I have 6. Did I send you 6 or 5.5?
You sent me 5.5.
Sent you 5.5. Let's see if I updated that one. This is a great episode so far. Yes, 5.5. I updated that side.
We're killing it.
I just wanted to make sure I updated the graphic before I did it. Okay. I think it's a bounce back game for LSU. I don't think Missouri has. I think they're a decent team, but I don't think they have what it takes to bounce 2 purple road teams in a row.
Yeah.
What?
I was just gonna say they're at home, but then I remembered you're talking about K-State, and Missouri were also at home for that game.
Yep. I think LSU kind of has to get right. They came in last week off of that close win against Arkansas, and they were not ready for this. What's the opposite of a dogfight? I guess a shootout, but that's not what I mean.
A pillow.
I don't know. There you go, pillow fight. That's not. I don't think that's it either.
Well,
it's like a machine. It's like a machine gun against a pillow.
There were so many missed tackles that they were bouncing around like they were pillows. So
yeah, I guess that's fair. I'm taking LSU here. I don't want to take all favorites today, but I feel like it has to be a get right game for them.
So yeah, I was talking all this shit about LSU being ranked and how they shouldn't. And I'm still gonna pick LSU minus 5.5 because it should absolutely be a bounce back game for them. I don't think Mizzou's all that. And I just don't think they have the firepower to beat this LSU team, even at home. I say they shouldn't be ranked. I understand they probably will be deserving of that ranking at the end of the season, but it just pisses me off when people base these rankings off expectation and not what's in front of you. And when a team's 3-2, 5 weeks into the season, for me it's rough to say they should be a top 25 team at that moment. They can be later in the season, but
who do you think the public's on here?
I think the public's on LSU.
They're not.
Whoa.
71% Missouri.
Okay. I guess we're smart, kind of, at times.
I'm worried that makes us not smart. What does the public know that we don't?
Well, they believe too much in Missouri. They're looking at exactly what I said. They're looking at, this 5-0 team playing this 3-2 team. But that's not the way it works sometimes in college football.
Never is.
Not usually. All right. Moving on here to the team that I think, or one of two teams, but the team that I was especially zeroing in on that should be ranked over LSU. We got an undefeated 5-0 Maryland team who actually did win all their games so far this season, going on the road to number 4 Ohio State. Now, one thing different about this, the line will tell you that they're not deserving to be ranked over LSU. Ohio State are 19.5-point favorites. JP, what are you thinking here?
I was worried that you were going to say Kentucky deserved to be ranked over LSU, but I have a feeling you're going to do that anyway once we get to them.
We'll see.
But I have a feeling that Maryland will not deserve to be ranked over LSU after this week. And I say that as I'm going to take Maryland. Because I have to. I just have to keep taking Maryland. I feel like both of us have taken Maryland a lot this year.
It's worked.
It's been working. So
they were blowing teams out and putting up. They have not put up less than 31 points this season.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously Ohio State defense is very good, but you can't give me a team total of 19 and expect me to not bet Maryland here. 19-38 would be their projected score based on the total of 57. So I'm going to take Maryland plus 19.5. I don't think Ohio State scores as much as they need to cover that, which is the reason I'm going to take Maryland. But I could also see Maryland losing 30-0 because Ohio State defense is legit. Does that help?
That helps a lot, but we're mirroring each other too much this week.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be a bad sign for both of us. I'm also on Maryland plus 19.5. This is probably the biggest game of Talia Tagovailoa's career so far at Maryland. He's playing a damn good defense, though. Of course, I don't think they're going to win this game outright, but I think he's good enough to keep him in it, put up some points, get into a not Colorado USC-esque to where they have to come back in the end to get it there. I think they're going to put up enough points to keep this competitive throughout. Even on a solid defense in Ohio State, if they could put up say 25 points, they will cover the spread here. And
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think they'll go over that. So there's my spoiler too. I love their team total this week. I know we don't bet those, but on the show at least. But yeah, so I'm going Maryland plus 19.5.
Honestly, I think if they hit 3 scores, if they hit 20 points, that might be enough to cover. That would be my guess. I just don't think Ohio State's going to put up 40. Two things here. One, I think we've had 4 of the same picks each of the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we've been doing pretty well in a podcast picks. So that's not the worst sign for us, actually. And we're squares on this one. 79% Maryland.
Jesus.
They're just seeing Ohio State, and they haven't been bowling out teams like that. So they're thinking the same way we are. Is just Maryland's going to keep it close enough.
Yeah, I guess so.
Not great.
Not great. I really don't like being 79% Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. That's
Third
terrible.
highest differential of the week.
That is
Or
horrible.
of the 6 that we talk about.
And 79 is the third smallest.
Third highest.
Third highest. Well, fourth smallest then.
There you go. Yep.
Still terrifying. Moving on here. 3:30 CBS. Here's the other team I think deserves to be ranked over LSU. One loss compared to two when they've been looking pretty decent recently. Not talking about Alabama. They're looking decent as well. Obviously, number 11 Alabama on the road at Kyle Field, my namesake, against Texas A&M. It's my field. I wish we won on it last year, but I own the field. Alabama only 2-point favorites here. Another one where like I want to scream, what is this line? But it's like I understand it. I understand it completely.
I'd say that Kyle Field actually owns you, not the other way around.
Yeah, probably. After what happened last year, actually we own them now this year, but that was played in Miami. So
yeah, I didn't. First of all, I forgot A&M wasn't ranked. Otherwise, I would have known that's who you're talking about. And secondly, obviously, you think they should be ranked above LSU because you value very highly the team that they lost to.
Yeah,
I see how that works.
Yeah. You know what else values highly the team that they lost to? Have you seen the BCS they did the BCS computer formula on this season so far? Do you want to know who the number one team in the country is in the BCS computer formula?
Please don't say Miami.
It is.
That's great. It's a shame we went away from it.
Yeah, bring it back. No biases. No SEC biases in a computer.
Obviously it's a huge game for both teams here. I'm not saying anything here. Obviously college football games are big for both teams. Saban can't have 2 losses by first week of October. That's not something he can really afford. Jimbo needs a big win this season, because beating Auburn is not going to get it done. Backup quarterback for A&M, but he did look pretty good last week. So obviously, what would Josh Pate say about the Bama offensive line?
He said at the beginning of the season that they're the best in the country, best potentially ever, and now he's admitting that he was wrong.
Yeah, A&M's pass rush is really good. Now they've played some bad quarterbacks, but their pass rush is legit. And if they can get to Milroe here, I kind of like the upset. I'm gonna take A&M +2. I don't love it, but I think that's my pick, man.
So this game is as big of a coin flip as potentially you have in college football this year. Max Johnson, I mean, he's been around the block. He's not your traditional like backup QB coming out of nowhere. So yeah, I mean, he went 17 for 28 for 210 and 2 TDs last week with an interception. But yeah, that pass rush at A&M is exactly what I'm looking at. They are legit. Miami might have still put up 48 points on them anyways, but that's a conversation for another day. TBD for Heisman. But I just can't stop with the Miami references today. But yeah, I'm terrified of it. I'm absolutely terrified of it. But I'm leaning the same way you are. Texas A&M +2, which is essentially saying Texas A&M money line. Texas A&M are going to win this game. Now,
That's just such a scary thing to say.
yeah. Now will I be completely shocked if it just completely goes the other way? No.
All right, Kyle. I know you said neither of us would be surprised if Alabama takes this one handily. Do you think the public would be surprised by that or no?
No.
No. Well, you'd be right. Uh, Alabama, 64%. So that's the smallest differential, the lowest number of public on the public side, I guess. It's the smallest differential on the public sides we have for today's pod.
That's
64.
that's crazy. We have no game that the public agrees on.
Tough.
Like 64% is the smallest.
Yep.
And it's essentially, like we said, the biggest coin flip of a game ever. I think the line is right at 2.5 or 2. Like I think Texas A&M is going to win. I picked them, but Jesus, don't know that for sure.
I'd like some more points, honestly.
I would too. I would like about 6.
That'd be nice.
That. Moving on here, staying in the SEC, top 25 versus top 25 matchup. 7:00 ESPN, number 20 Kentucky on the road against number 1 Georgia, coming off that thriller of a win, pulling it out against Auburn last week. Georgia are 14.5-point favorites. JP, do Georgia just bounce back and prove why they're the best team? Prove why the AP thinks they're the best team in the country here?
I'm gonna look up Georgia's season so far.
I got it right here if you want me to run.
Oh, good. Yeah, go ahead and run through it for me.
48-7 against UT Martin, 45-3 against Ball State, 24-14 against South Carolina, 49-21 against UAB, and last week 27-20 against Auburn.
It doesn't feel like they've shown against any real competition that they can pull away from teams.
No, they haven't.
And that's really scary for the number 1 team in the country.
The two Power 5 teams they played, number 1 were in their own conference. Well, that's fine. They're the SEC, but number 2 both were within 10 points.
And they weren't good teams in that conference.
No.
Yeah, this is I don't love the line. But to me, it has to be a letdown spot for Kentucky. Because obviously they played out of their minds last week. That was a big game for them coming in, big game for us. We both took Kentucky. Georgia has to have some sort of chip on their shoulder right now. And this isn't a game where you can just let them hang around. You can't keep doing that every week in the SEC. Eventually, you have to kind of flex your muscles and show people that you are who we think you are. So, I forgot to do it for Brian Kelly. No, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there yet. I'm gonna hold that one in the tank. Actually, I'm gonna hold it in.
Yeah, I think I know where you were going there, and that's a bad place to be going this early.
You think?
The 5-0 team.
All right. I'm not going there yet. But I am taking Georgia minus 14.5. I don't love the 14.5, obviously. But I have to do it. It's just a brain play, and I don't know. Maybe Kyle's with me. I don't know.
I'd really like to buy it down to 14. May I buy a vowel? But yeah, we are making this as boring as humanly possible today. I once again agree with you. I think, yeah, they're the number one team in the country. Somehow, some way, I don't agree with it, but they are. They're gonna have to come out at home, show up and show out tonight, and prove why against a Kentucky team that played what will probably remain. I may jinx themselves, and I may jinx them into winning a big game later this year, but will probably remain their best performance of the season for the rest of the year. I mean, that was a thorough beatdown of Florida. I mean, do I think Florida's good? No, we've talked about them. We've talked about that a few times this year now. We've talked about them too much. But I mean, it's still a letdown spot for Kentucky coming from the home domination. So I gotta go Georgia minus 14.5. I gotta believe that they're just gonna throw to Brock Bowers 5 million times again should they get in trouble, and that's what I'm gonna go with.
When I told Kyle there was the smallest spread was, or the smallest differential was 64%. I already said he asked if it was Oklahoma, Texas. The second game he asked was, is it Kentucky, Georgia? No, it's the second highest differential. The two you guessed were the two highest. 80% Kentucky.
Wow. All right, so we're like very against the public this week
on this one. Well, we were with them on Maryland was the third highest at 79. Texas was the highest at 81, and now we're against the public on 80% Kentucky.
Got it. Yeah. I'm kind of shocked at that, but once again, it's people who watched last week and then are turning around and saying this team isn't good and are taking Kentucky over Georgia. So, yeah,
I mean, in theory, Ray Davis can't run for 250 yards again, right?
Maybe, in theory.
I really hope he can't do that 2 weeks in a row. Otherwise, we have issues.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. And to close out here, we have the same special as last week, 7:30 ABC. Number 10 Notre Dame going on the road to an undefeated ACC team, and number 25 Louisville. Notre Dame are 6.5-point favorites. JP, I don't get it. I think Duke are a better team than Louisville, which the line tells Notre Dame are one more point of a favorite. But it's like I'm just gonna go back to the well and do it again.
Is that what you're doing? Are you making your pick?
That it seems so simple to say. I know no breakdown, no nothing here, but like I get the scheduling dynamics of it. The scheduling dynamics suck for Notre Dame. They poured their hearts out against Ohio State, had to pour their hearts out against Duke. Then they have this Louisville road game in the middle, and then they have USC next week. So I understand, number one, their schedule is ridiculous. The first time you'll hear me say that about Notre Dame. And number two, the scheduling dynamics absolutely suck for them today. But in looking at the film and looking at what has happened this season, yes, are Louisville 5-0? Yes. Is Duke a better team than Louisville? Hell yes. So I'm going Notre Dame minus 6.5.
I think it is 6.
6.
Just a straight half point.
ESPN was telling me 6.5. Yeah, it is 6. But I would take 6.5 too. I'll take the extra half point.
Why do I want to take Louisville?
Because the universe is telling everybody to take Louisville here. The Ramen Noodle Express already told you to bet on Louisville.
Well, I already bet them for that. We got it at 7. And it keeps, oh, that's even more concerning. It got bet down from 7, and 75% of the public's on Notre Dame.
Whoa. Oh, no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Louisville plus 6, lock it in. Sam Hartman is regressing, I guess, against Ohio State and Duke. Even though those are apparently really good defenses, I'm just going to say that Sam Hartman is regressing. And we're going to say that Notre Dame does not hurt Jack Plummer on the last drive of the game. So he goes down the field and scores a touchdown and cuts it to 3, and then they win by 3. So I'm going to take Louisville plus 6. Hate it. Don't like it. Don't love it. I really wish that I wasn't going to bet Louisville twice, but I'm going to. So, yeah, do with that what you want. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to God, Notre Dame's schedule this year is, for the first time ever, I feel like something very, very difficult. But yeah, you could scare me all you want, and I am terrified, but I'm sticking with Notre Dame minus 6.
Sam Hartman's out?
Wait, what?
Oh, I was just trying to scare you.
That you could actually scare me. God, you almost got me there. JP, I'm gonna set you up here now that we're done with our 6 games to do your best bet.
So I came in with the team, and I was going to go back to you. I told you I was going to go back to you. But I already have my other team.
Oh.
Now, I'll take you through my thought process. I was thinking about who was I thinking about? My brain went Kentucky, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, October. And I went, and they're not playing this week. So that's so disappointing. So then I started looking at the board again, and there's a team that I didn't even check that's actually less than I thought it would be. There's a team that's going on the road to a team that USC, let me do my own research here. Yeah. Okay. USC beat this team by 2 scores. Colorado just played USC and lost by a touchdown. Nobody's talking about Colorado right now. The public is off them. They're out of the public eye because they've gone through Oregon and USC. They lost both games. They're not in the conversation right now, relatively. And they're on the road in Tempe, I think. On the road at the Sun Devils, 4.5-point favorites. Colorado minus 4.5 is my best bet this week. So somehow I'm going to figure out how to lose another Colorado game. But, oh, no, I bet with you last week. So I won. I need you to take Colorado, too. Can you do that for me?
The answer is no. I'm really enjoying this week not talking about Colorado and the fact that they're going to be on the Pac-12 network that I can't even access. Doesn't help things either. But my best bet of this week is fading a team that may be near and dear to your heart now. UCF. They showed they somehow have less heart than Dave Aranda's Baylor team. We've been talking about how that team has 0 heart. They showed all the heart in the world compared to UCF.
I didn't think it was possible.
So I have UCF once again laying down and dying on the road against Kansas. Kansas -2 is my best bet.
And for the viewers, I really like that. That was my best bet that I had down before we talked. So
So it's going to lose.
No, because my first one was the week that it worked for me. The only week I won a best bet was week 3, 4, week 4, week 3, week 3. And I guess I don't remember what that one was, but the first one I had before I changed it was BYU +8, and they beat Arkansas outright.
Oh, that'll do it.
So that's a good sign for Kansas, theoretically.
It's not a bad sign for Kansas, that's for sure. And now this week, JP, you made up a brilliant concoction last week in the podcast teaser, but I think we're going back to a podcast parlay this week because the podcast teaser is 0-1. In the podcast parlay, at least we have one win on the season.
Kyle just didn't like the podcast teaser from the beginning, and he doomed to fail with Syracuse. I'm convinced of that.
Yes.
I would like you to tell me your pick for the parlay this week.
I had Iowa originally, but now I'm thinking of just doubling down on Kansas.
Oh no.
I completely mess up your graphic that you have there by doing that, but yeah. My parlay pick, it's worth it. I mean, it's the same line. My parlay picks Kansas.
Oh boy. Okay.
I'm changing it. Lock it in. UTF's gonna win by 30.
How dare you change your pick after it's already been? Who would do that?
You.
Yeah. All right. Let me look. You said Kansas. They're not ranked anymore, right?
No.
Nope. That's an even better line. Look at that. Okay. So, this site has it sorts by conference, or you can pick from the conferences, but it has the Power 5 conferences first and then nothing between them. So I just scrolled to the bottom and I didn't find SEC value.
That'll do it.
That's a tease for my pick. Okay. So I see your pick. Definitely don't want to change it. Or change mine. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to look at a team that we've actually already talked about. And it is one of the 5 that we're on the same side for. So it works out.
I like that.
But I'm looking at a coach who has all the talent in the world in his roster and hasn't been able to win a true big game. I'm going to say that. And they fooled a lot of people last year. I sat on here all last year talking them down.
Didn't they beat last year?
Yeah, Bama was bad. And then
the goal.
And this year I've been talking them down the whole time. I've been right in those games, and I think I'm gonna need to do some research. I might have bet LSU right every game this year. I'm calling out Brian Kelly. I'm doing it. I'm calling him out. This is a game where you have to win. And so I'm adding them to the podcast parlay. It's +160. And I'm saying, Brian Kelly, if you are who you say you are, if your team is who you say they are, then they're not going to drop this game after barely squeaking by Arkansas and losing to Ole Miss. You have to show a little pride in your defense, and you have to throw the ball around and play more offense than Missouri. Missouri cannot be 6-0. That cannot happen if you are LSU. So we're calling out Brian Kelly. And it's not just because we need that in the title of the video so that we get more views. That's not the only reason. It is the only reason. But I'm taking LSU. Podcast parlay is you had Iowa before. Kansas and LSU. Plus 160. I would say go bet it, but don't go bet it. Let's win some money this week.
So Brian Kelly, you're calling him out. You're putting him on fraud watch. Is that what I hear?
Fraud watch. I think he's a fraud if they lose this game.
It worked for Nick Saban when you put him on fraud watch. So
Exactly. I might just do this every week.
just call out a different coach every week, like next week, like calling out Mac Brown. Then the week after, like
it worked for you too because you called out The Rock and you got The Rock back to Miami. It worked out.
Yeah, he started tweeting about our recruits again, so it worked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. Oh, are you gonna be traveling this week?
So I am traveling this week. I'm going down for our Miami Knights game. Because we actually do blackouts. We call it a different name though. Miami against Georgia Tech. We're 21-point favorites. It shouldn't be. It should be a walk in the park. We have a lot of big time recruits in the house because, of course, with the Miami Knights gimmick, we're gonna bring a lot of big recruits along. But yeah, so stadium's gonna be in rare form on Saturday night, I think. AKA actually rocking for once. Ticket sales have been going pretty well, so you may see a somewhat full Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday. The plan was to originally parlay that Saturday into going to Giants versus Dolphins on Sunday as well. But two things happened. Number one, the Miami-Georgia Tech game was announced for 8 p.m. That happened. None of us will be home till like 1 a.m. We'll probably end up somehow going out after. And making it to the stadium by 1 p.m. just isn't realistic the next day. And the Canes are more important, obviously. Number two, God, I was at the Monday Night Football game this week, and the Giants just completely let me down. I left that game. I said, why would I look to buy tickets to that Giants-Dolphins game? They're going to beat us by 40. So yeah, we're not going to that. We'll find a bar somewhere to watch it, but I'll be at the Miami Georgia Tech game this Saturday night.
I kind of want to bet the Giants now.
Yeah, after I just completely set you up for it.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
What even is the line on that game?
I don't know. I'll have to pick it later this week, but I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm gonna go and check what that is real quick while we're still on, since we mentioned it. I got it right here. It's only 11. Only 11 in the NFL. Yeah, I know, but
that is so concerning. Oh Lord. Well, I will not be attending the Butt Bowl at 7 p.m. local time.
Why not? Oh yeah, because you're just not going to Baylor games for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I have to stick to my morals. And I will be very busy. As I mentioned, I have a flag football game at 9 a.m. And then I have to sit in my apartment and watch college football all day. And then I'm going to wake up on Sunday, and I'm going to drive to Houston.
What are you doing in Houston?
Well, I'm not going to Texans game, but the Twins just won their first playoff series in the last 21 years. So this jersey, well, I should say potentially going to Houston because I haven't bought my tickets yet. But they're not terrible. It's just driving 250 miles one way, and then back the next day because I have to fly out of DFW on Monday night. So it's it's gonna be tough, but I think it'll be worth it. So I'm gonna go watch the Twins get absolutely boat raced by the Astros.
I did just want to mention, I listened to that whole thing. Go and see your team play in the playoffs. Do it. I've realized this now with teams that don't get there very often anymore. They used to. They don't anymore. You got to take advantage when they do. So yeah, definitely enjoy that. Should be a good time, win or lose, because at least there you have another game. You have another best 3 out of 5. So you'll have more chances to you'll have chances to get that back. Unlike, I keep bringing them up today, a lot of Miami references, but unlike Canes basketball in the Final Four this year, we didn't get a chance to get that UConn game back. But but yeah, so we'll both be traveling this week. Hopefully I'm not coughing as bad when I'm down in Miami. Hopefully I get over it. But yeah, everybody enjoy the slate this week. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff below. He has the button. He's smart.
Bottom right of this, bottom right of the screen.
Awesome. Yeah, so I remembered. And yeah, enjoy the games this week. And
see y'all.